Hey yo, it's me, it's the RAV. This is Raven Effect back here once again for the HeelCast. This week we've got a special guest with me because none of the other HeelCast members could do it. So we reached out, we found our boy himself, Wrestling Robert from Robert Does Wrestling. Rob, how's it going, man?
Everything is good. Thank you to everybody on the HeelCast for the opportunity. I am a new guy on YouTube. You can find me at Robert Does Wrestling. I usually do Impact reviews every week, and I also sometimes play a little bit of guitar and make some noise with it, playing some of the things of the Impact Wrestling team, like library.
Awesome stuff, man. Love it. So yeah, we went out. We got our boy Robert Does Wrestling with us here. Be sure to check him out. And I'll in a minute, we'll go back to it here, and I'll kind of let everyone know exactly where to find his show. But if you haven't seen Rob's show, definitely check it out. It's highly entertaining. So you know what? We're gonna jump into these plugs here, real fast, Rob. What I want to do here, I haven't been on Twitter in quite some time, except for like the past couple of weeks, and I found something out, and I feel terrible about not knowing this sooner. But I want to give a special shout out to a guy named Eli Samuel Rosario. Eli Samuel, literally, man, since the time I got Twitter at the start, he's not only supported me, like my fantasy columns and stuff we've done, but he supported the hell out of Impact Wrestling. He supported the hell out of the HeelCast. He supports the hell out of BQ. Just an all-around good, genuine, nice fucking guy. Just a great person, man. And I found out that Eli he'd been diagnosed with skin cancer, and I'm in shock. He's definitely too young for that, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Eli. Let him know that HeelCast, all of us, man, we love you. Definitely, we're with you here. We got your back. All you're going through, man, you're a warrior. You do not deserve this, but you're going to beat it. And, I'm happy to say that last night or this morning, one of the two, Eli sent out a tweet saying that he spoke to the doctor and that his cancer is regressing and going away. So, Eli, congratulations, man. Definitely got a bright future ahead of you. And, dude, we appreciate everything you do, man. I'm just so happy to hear this.
That guy is really a really cool dude. Hopefully he's able to beat cancer as soon as possible. I fully support him and everything that you need. Eli, if you're listening to me, just reach out and I will be more than happy to lend you a hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any of our listeners too. It's at Eli Samuel Rosario on Twitter. Be sure to follow the guy, man. He's a great guy. Definitely does not deserve the hand he's been dealt. But like I told Eli, he's a warrior. He's fought it. He's beaten it, and he's definitely got our stamp of approval, and we got his back. All right, so we're gonna move on to the plugs. Of course, check out. We're not the only Impact Wrestling podcast out there. Including, of course, Robert Does Wrestling. Rob, you want to tell anyone any more about your show and what you told them, or where to exactly find you at?
Yeah, you can find me at YouTube at plugging in Robert Does Wrestling. Mostly pro Impact stuff and a little bit of music and news sometimes, but my main thing is Impact Wrestling.
And what's your Twitter handle too? Isn't it at Wrestling Rob? Am I right?
Yeah, at Wrestling Robert.
All right, so be sure to find our boy there. Also check out BQ at King of the Mountain. BQ's latest episode he just did. I'll actually be on there, so you can check me out on there as well. You can find BQ on YouTube, Twitter. It was BQ, myself, and the hot girl from the Impact Zone that everyone talks about. The three of us did a show here. We just recorded it yesterday, so check that out. Check out BQ every week. Of course, as you all know, check out Andre Corbeil. And then also, man, I just realized this, but our boy, if you listen to us, if you see us on YouTube, you normally see the comments from our boy at LB One of a Kind. So check him out. He's got his own show. It's at Impact One of a Kind Society. Be sure to check him out. Also, of course, as you know, go to impactasylum.net. You can catch our HeelCast member, the self-made man himself, straight shooting with FK9 on there every week. And of course, be sure to check out Impact Heads if you haven't checked it out already, man. Our boys Chef and Kyle. I love their show, man. I love what they're doing. It's fun to go on and do heads. Unfortunately, the episode I was on didn't make the air, but man, check them out too for sure. The last thing I wanted to say, man, I've kind of been singing the praises here. My man Big Ray, I've discovered Big Ray's show. Man, this dude is awesome. He used to do the Can-Am thing with Andre Corbeil. Look, I can't stamp and approve Big Ray enough. Look, Big Ray is a senior producer and reporter at OneWrestling.com. He is the only recognized protege of Bill Apter. If you don't know who Bill Apter is, man, you got to do some research. Or I would assume everyone listening to the show should know who that guy is. This is a dude who was raised in the business, man. He knows his shit. But anyways, if you're doing Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, it's at Big Rays Show. That's BIGRAYSSHOW. If you're on YouTube, it's under One Wrestling Video, the number One Wrestling Video. And then you can also catch him on WrestleZone.com on the WrestleZone Daily with Nick Hausman. Sorry if I butchered that. And also, look, man, my favorite part he does is the Impact Attack. It's hashtag Impact Attack podcast with Ben the Hacker Hammond. Love what they're doing there. Basically, just search Hacker Hammond, HACKERHAMIN, anywhere you listen to your favorite audio content every Saturday. So definitely HeelCast Nation. Look, you're getting the fucking stamp of approval from the RAV. Check out my man Big Ray's show. Honest to God, man, you got to check this out. This is the big time guy who covers all the wrestling but doesn't actually shit on Impact. So he's a rarity. Follow him, give him your support because he's supporting this company for us. All right, well, Rob, we're going to move on to the wrestling news for the week. Man, we actually got quite a bit. So, look, I'm not going to talk too much on this one. If you got anything to say, I'm going to let you talk about it. The reason I'm not going to say anything is if you want to get my take on it, please check our Slammiversary 15 recap show that just came out last week. You get myself and FK9's take on this matter. But, look, Impact Wrestling is now GFW. Rob, you have any? I'm sure you've covered this on your show, but anything you want to say on this one?
I don't think it hurts the product at all. I know that GFW have a bad reputation due to their failure when it launched, but not everybody knows about that. Not your typical member of the audience knows about that. Only hardcore marks like us knows about that. So even though I'm not a fan of the name, I could live with it. I don't have a problem per se.
Yeah, I really don't either. I mean, I'm not going to go into it because we're going to save time and my take is already out there. But, I'm nostalgic to TNA, that name, its history. I loved that company. But, fact of the matter is this. It's things are done. It's time to stop living in the past. And, advertisers, marketers, and Rob hits the most crucial point there. Look, there's a lot of us may think GFW failed and whatnot. And that's GFW is a shittier brand name than TNA was. But look, dude, no one really fucking knows what GFW is unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan. So, look, people, we got to accept it and move forward. And that's it's not going back. So, the one thing that did happen, I called on this show. The fucking fact is that in the United States of America and globally, the fact of the matter is this: Impact Wrestling is the only one that will ever have a chance to challenge the WWE. And everyone was on there, like everyone is hyping up New Japan as this big, great thing and the second biggest promotion, which they are the second biggest. But let me tell you this: the RAV will boast when he is right, and you motherfuckers need to listen to me sometimes. So Sunday night, it's Saturday and Sunday is the global, or it's the New Japan G1 tournament, whatever the hell it was. Look, literally every Dave Meltzer, Dick Sucker, Mark out there in the world was fucking flying down to California on their mother's dollar to sit in the audience and watch this work rate show for the New Japan. Everyone out there on Twitter was shitting on Impact just to promote how great this G1 stuff was. And guess what happened in the United States of America? Hashtag Slam15 was trending, but New Japan Pro Wrestling was not trending in the United States. So riding that success, Rob, man, Impact, highest rated show of the year this past Thursday. After taking a huge hit, which I was going to call out the Impact Wrestling fans on the show for the week prior, huge jump up, definitely success, things that look positive for. Rob, you got any thoughts on this one, buddy?
I'm pretty happy, especially that the show had a higher rating, that the so-called people who were bringing people in, like Matt and Jeff, obviously this week's show have a higher rating than the total non-stop deletion and delete NDK. Just in case you were wondering, the number I think is 355 if I'm not mistaken. By the way, I noticed that the shows that do good on ratings tend to be ones that have a really good opening and a solid closing. Kind of, if you put whatever you put in the middle, it doesn't bother people as long as it's not boring. But I think they found a formula towards high rating shows.
Yeah, maybe they did, and I think like the word is spreading. Dixie's not there anymore. The people that were running TNA when it was at its highest and had the most loyal, dedicated fans out there, those people are back. So I think that's something that's definitely going to help out, and it's a good way to go about it. Now we mentioned Global Force Wrestling, but no one's really seen too much about GFW. However, the one night onlys, there's going to be a 4-part series now. See, these one night only shows are actually going to be the Global Force Wrestling Amped series. So the TV that was shot for GFW that was actually never made to air anywhere is actually going to get airtime. It's going to be the one-night only shows. There's going to be 4 parts to it. I'm honest to God excited, man. I hear some people kind of shitting on it or whatnot. Dude, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I want to watch this, man. Like Bobby Roode and Eric Young, I haven't been able to see them. I've watched Roode wrestle one match. That was the night before WrestleMania this year. I admit I turned in and watched that shit. Not really by choice. I was just kind of bored. I wasn't that impressed. But I'm happy to see them back. And look, my guy, my main fucking man, Chael Sonnen, is right on there at the front, pointing the finger out. I'm excited to see it. Rob, your thoughts on this?
The production of GFW looks really good also. That is something to point out. I wish the new GFW, once they go on the road more often, they could get something bigger, a big arena and a big production value that is gonna help bring people in. But I am excited to see what kind of stuff Jeff Jarrett do on his own with the original GFW.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited. It's only $15, dude. And I know like a lot of you like, man, times are tough, whether you're in the U.S. or not. But times are tough. And, sometimes, especially if you shell out $40 for Slammiversary, another $15. But, man, these are only $15 shows, and I'm pretty damn excited about it. I drop $60 damn near every month on UFC pay-per-views alone. What's another $15 for me, I guess? I'm definitely going to be checking these out for sure. If not, man, buy a fucking Fire Stick, dude. You can pretty much get the one-night-only shows off your Amazon Fire Stick with the Cody program. The quality doesn't look that great, but hey, you can still watch it. But support Impact and pay your money, though, people. Now, look, we hit Slammiversary, which is always a June show, but it was in July this month. Rob, man, if you're like me, dude, you always watch Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory is an every October thing. It's moved to November. So November 5th of this year, 2017, is going to be Bound for Glory this year. Your thoughts on that one?
It kind of coincides with a news that is a little bit lower down the card. And I would wish to see that person in Bound for Glory making his triumphant return. But I am happy. I am obviously most of the Bound for Glory have been good events. I think the move from October to November is good. I wish it could be December. Why? Because that is the lowest point of ratings and viewership on the other side of town. Especially even the stock goes down in early December. But it is what it is. I am pretty excited. I am a happy customer of the current Impact product.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of like December too, just because, it's always supposed to be like that reset, like WrestleMania and Bound for Glory. It's the reset where everything kind of starts over. And I feel like it's kind of like the tipping point. And I think December is the end of the year, kind of like how Starrcade did it. It's do it in December, cap the year off, do like 2 or 3 best of shows, start fresh in January. Kind of make Bound for Glory that fucking ending point there is what I'd like to see. But, look, anyone wants to criticize this and say, oh, now it's in November, it's not as important. Dude, like WrestleMania has been March and April, like back and forth inconsistently since I've been alive. And I'm the exact same age as WrestleMania. So anyone wants to knock on that shit, there's some shut the fuck up for you. But dude, the thing that I'm happy about, like, one, they actually know when they're gonna do Bound for Glory, and it's ahead of time, unlike the past few years under old Dixie there, and they're building to it, man. Just like they built from February, whenever they actually came in and took over at the tapings, they built that all the way up until we had Slammiversary. So look, props to Impact. We know it's going to be. I don't know if we know where. I'm probably going to guess Orlando, but hey, you know what, man? It's Bound for Glory. Who's not ready for this? And I think it's going to be our best Bound for Glory in a long time. Robbie mentioned that name to make the triumphant return. We're going to talk on that in one more second, but because there's another triumphant name making a debut. I don't know if hell froze over, if it's because the name TNA is no longer in existence and it's technically a dead company, but Dixie Carter is finally getting her wish, and she can appear on the WWE Network, that company she tried to sell this company to. Monday night, tomorrow night after Raw, apparently, they're having this Kurt Angle special, and good old Dixie, sinking the company, getting bent over by the IRS Carter, is going to be appearing on WWE TV so she can kiss Vince and Stephanie's ass from here to across the street that much more. Rob, dude, you got any thoughts on this? 'Cause my mind's kind of blown on it.
I'm gonna see it, not tomorrow, but probably Tuesday. Find it via some nefarious website. But I'm expecting, to be honest, a fuck Jack Jarrett fest between Kurt Angle and Dixie Carter. I would be surprised if they don't name drop Jeff Jarrett. Dixie saying, "Hey, this motherfucker stole the company from me." Kurt Angle saying, "Hey, he stole my wife from me." But whatever it is, what it is, I wish, this is a big wish, I wish Dixie could actually end up on WWE TV. Why? Because I want to see all those people who criticize TNA when they have Dixie on TV eating their own words. I would love to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Of course, who wouldn't want to see that after all the shit the TNA fans have had to take? And it's like, if we say back, if we strike back, it's kind of like, whoa, slow down, partner. Don't know why you're getting so hostile when, you know, like, come on, man, motherfucker. You know that you guys are really the instigators of all times. But yeah, it would be nice to see that. I would like to just see her be on WWE TV for the main reason she has no more fucking involvement in this company, because good God, that woman can make anything fail. You know, like, just let her go over there and try and fuck that company up a little bit. I mean, shit, maybe, I'm sure she won't have very much power. Like, Vince, Stephanie aren't that stupid, and their egos are too big. But, man, it'd be nice to see her get, like, a decent position and just fucking take a big old chunk out of that shitty company up north. Man, I can't. I'm going to watch it. You know, I don't pay for the WWE Network, dude. Like, I love WWF old school. I loved WWE until about like 2005. Then I started to just like it. You know, in 2011, thought it got horrible. Stopped watching 2012. But like, the WWF, the WCW, the ECW, man, I tune in for that stuff. And you know, I said I don't pay for it. My buddy has the network, and he gives me the login information, so I'll get on there for free and I'll watch some old school stuff sometimes. But I'm definitely going to actually check this out. And man, mainly, like, not only am I interested as to what they have to say, especially with her, and if they're going to talk about that time, but dude, like, I love Kurt, man, and every TNA, Impact, GFW, whatever the hell you want to call us fan, should definitely respect and be a Kurt Angle fan, because that man brought so much prestige and credibility to this company ever did, more than Sting or anyone else. So I'm not saying go turn into WWE Network and give them ratings and pay $10, but I mean, give Kurt his respect.
Yeah, Kurt Angle actually went in and worked for TNA. He was not like Booker T, who was there to get a paycheck or anything like that. I have respect for him. What I don't like is it looks like they're positioning to attack Jeff Jarrett as a person, because he still have nuclear heat with Vince McMahon, and he's not gonna let it go ever. And that happened how long? Like 25 years ago, the whole Intercontinental title thing. I know they're gonna name drop Jeff Jarrett, to be honest, and I am not like a huge Jeff Jarrett fan, obviously, but I met him, and he's a cool guy actually, and I got to talk to him for about almost half an hour. when I went to the Impact Zone. So I had a lot of respect for him. The same as Kurt Angle. I met him, I think it was 2001, something like that. And he's a beast. He was always a beast. But I mean, let's say the truth about here. I don't wish anybody to be watching the other side of town, but Kurt Angle is terrible. On the other side of town, my God, I mean, cheesy as someone could ever be. But it is what it is. It is all about Dixie Carter tomorrow, so I'm gonna tune in probably Tuesday or Wednesday to see what the hell happened with her.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can't turn that one down. I know, like BQ and Ebony on that show, they were saying they didn't want to watch they weren't going to tune in and watch it. But I mean, I got to, man. Like, I just love Kurt. But the other thing, so speaking of someone I love, man, dude, my boy. If you want to know how stupid the WWE is, they get, in my opinion, like nobody does it better than A-Double himself, Austin Aries. They have this guy. Not only do they just fucking use him as a cruiserweight, and they're going to write the guy's own promos and stuff for him, but they do nothing with A-Double Austin Aries, man. And on Friday, like my phone starts fucking going crazy with all these Twitter notifications and shit. I can't even really keep up. A-Double Austin Aries got released. The WWE cut Austin Aries, man. I believe this was a guy you were talking about. You want to see make his triumphant return? Am I right, Rob?
Yeah, Bound for Glory. That would be the perfect timing. Even though I was thinking about this yesterday. Obviously, Dutch Mantel, he used to be the booker here in Puerto Rico for about 6 years between two companies. And he did an angle that I would love him to recreate on GFW. He took a guy from another company, and what he did was he put him under a mask, even though they have 90 days of the not complete clause, whatever. He was able to get a loophole around it because he's not that thing, even though it's written as on a contract, is not enforceable by law. But either way, I would love to see Austin Aries back on Impact on GFW.
There's man, when I think about my favorite wrestlers, he probably doesn't crack my all-time favorite list overall. Like, I mean, top 5 with Bret Hart and Raven, The Rock, stuff like that out there. But you know, man, when I'll say, like, my favorite Impact Wrestling TNA guys of all time. I mean, there's Bad Influence. There's I'm a Bobby Roode guy, James Storm. You know, EC3 has been my favorite for a few years now. And then you know, Kurt Angle, of course. But you know, when I look back, I mean, I didn't think there'd ever be anyone that I'd be a bigger fan of than Christian Cage. And then A-Double came back in. My favorite moment, I think, possibly ever in Impact Wrestling, even though it wasn't my favorite period by any stretch of the imagination, would be A-Double winning that belt from Bobby Roode at Destination X back in 2012. I think Austin Aries, man, and I took some heat on this. I said this on our very first show we ever did, but Austin Aries, I feel, for everyone that said they needed a new AJ Styles, I feel they had that in Austin Aries. Yeah. And I feel that literally anything AJ Styles can do, Austin Aries can do it and do it better. And Austin Aries has an it factor that AJ Styles never had. He has more charisma. He's a better promo talker than almost anyone ever. And I mean, his last day that he was official member of the Impact Wrestling roster in 2015 at Slammiversary, I mean, literally, dude, like the last thing he says was when picking the stipulation for that Wolves feud, when he comes out and says it's going to be a bra and panties match. I mean, the guy's just clever. He's hilarious. Just charisma pouring out the ass for days. I mean, this is a guy that was the champ. They turned him heel for some stupid reason going into Bound for Glory. And even with a heel turn, the guy was so much more over than Jeff Hardy in that match. It's batshit crazy to actually think about that. I mean, this guy, if Gaburek didn't come along and just kill all of his steam and momentum, I feel like this guy would have been the face of this company for a lot of years, and he should be our franchise guy. Still allowed a left in the tank. He's the greatest man that ever lived. Every person that listens to this show, if you have Twitter, I swear to God, if you do not tweet to Ed Nordholm, Jeff Jarrett, and Dirty Dutch, the Dirty D himself, to fucking sign Austin Aries. I don't ever listen to this show. Don't ever turn back into Impact Wrestling. I'm serious. That's how serious I feel about this.
Yeah, and also that the other thing about Austin Aries is that he probably is pissed off at this moment, right? He probably feels that he have to reprove himself once again. He have a bone to pick. What would be better for Impact to hire someone like this that has something to prove, who have a mission? That is the type of guy you need in your roster, not someone who is there just to collect paychecks. Someone who is going there with a purpose. He's doing something with a purpose. I mean, this is the shiny opportunity, especially for Impact. Bound for Glory. Get him to be at Bound for Glory, and then next year, hopefully, we will be back on Spike TV if the stars align.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in order to get back on Spike TV, they're going to need a big increase in viewership than what they're at, or at least some steady climbing. So for one, for all you motherfuckers who didn't tune in the week before Slammiversary because you wanted to bitch and cry about how they weren't building up to Slammiversary enough on the Go Home show, thank with your fucking head, because it disgusts me. But thank you all for turning back in the next week. But stop being a fickle ass fucking fan and finding everything you complain about. But look, if you want this to happen, you need some star power. You need a guy who can actually carry your company. They got one in EC3. They got one in James Storm. Lashley, he's got that thing to him, but he's not like the greatest talker, even though he's good at it. Alberto's got a little bit. Man, no one other than EC3 and Eli Drake are going to fuck with Austin Aries on the mic, and Rosemary too. Man, I swear to God, if you see someone tweet out to management to sign Austin Aries, retweet that shit. Seriously, you have Dutch Mantel who said, "You guys are my boss. The fans are my boss. We're gonna listen to the fans. Fans, speak the fuck up. Go crazy with this. I don't care. Just speak crazy. If you don't do it, man, I'm gonna unfollow you. Don't listen to our show anymore. I'm serious. This is that important. Whether you're not a huge Aries fan or not, get the goddamn credibility back."
Yeah, they need to get someone. By the way, did you hear the Jim Cornette comments about GFW and TNA turning now into GFW?
I didn't. I assumed they were going to be negative since it's Cornette, but I didn't, man. You want to go ahead and let it out if you checked it out?
Yeah, it is kind of negative, the whole thing, right? I know he's kind of a crazy person, right? But he said something very important. He said that if you want to go to war with someone, right? You want to make some impact, no pun intended, you need still people. Like, let's say, not have... What he was basically saying is that the roster, they don't have enough star power. And that is somehow correct. They have people, yeah, but they have like Matt Morgan in the back and Magnus in the back who have star power, but they still need to find a spot for them to put it in. But what would be better than to find someone who's coming from hot from the other side of town, who everybody saw that he was misused there, to return back home and be put near the main event scene and put a little bit of heat and a little bit of more power into Impact, into like closing the year in that last month and a half. That would be the perfect closing of a year for Impact, to get Aries, put him in a good feud, and man, you just close your contract with Pop. You're gonna be hot as a promotion, and you have a lot more leverage to negotiate a better deal with anybody else who wants to pick up GFW Impact.
Yeah, absolutely, you do. And those are some good points. There's not a whole lot of star power out there at all. But I mean, you think about WCW when they had Chris Jericho, when he jumped ship. I mean, look, anyone watching WCW knew Jericho was destined to break out as a star. And you know, the same thing I feel happened in 2006 with TNA. If you were watching WWE at the time, I mean, there was a reason that they didn't take the belt off of John Cena and Batista at the time, which I don't blame them for. I would have done the same shit, but it was clear as day Christian Cage, or Christian at the time, was that hot star ready to break out, and that this dude was ready to be a main eventer and had so much more to give. And he came over to TNA and proved that. You know, at least if Aries comes back, you know, we all know Aries is the star that he is. He's our former champ, multiple-time X Division champ, tag team champ, I believe. Dirty Heels, like, amazing tag team. I mean, there's so much for the guy to give, and it's something that we got to jump on. And yeah, absolutely. All right, but you know, we also had an episode of Impact this week, highest rated this entire year, and I've heard a lot of people shit on this episode, and we're saying there was a terrible episode of Impact. I strongly disagree. I thought it was actually a pretty damn good show, so I'm a little confused as to where the criticism's coming from. But then again, that's fucking marks and wrestling fans on the internet. You know, it's like, oh, Slammiversary was great. Now we got to go back to finding something to bitch and complain about, because you know, we wouldn't be able to be a wrestling fan in this day and age without finding every little thing to nitpick. But you know, we start with the promo setting up the world title match, a rematch. You see Dos Caras slap Bobby Lashley. Man, all I'm going to say in this situation, Rob, and then I'm going to kick it over to you, is that, look, this company is not the WWE. Stop doing the shit that makes people want to stop watching WWE. It's just a bunch of fucking rematches. Why did we pay $40 if you're going to give us Alberto and Lashley 4 nights later on free TV? That's the stuff that bothers me. I mean, it's cool to have one more rematch and do that shit or whatnot, but fucking, like, don't do it so goddamn soon. And that's the shit that makes me hate WWE, because they did that all the time. And it was like, why am I going to buy this on DVD when it comes out? Or why am I going to fucking pay pay-per-view money to watch this live when you're just going to show me the same shit? And not like I haven't seen all the matches you're showing on pay-per-view already as it is. But that's my thoughts on it, Rob. I'll go ahead and if you have anything you wanted to say about setting up the main event, go for it, my friend.
Yeah, I like the promo segment done by Alberto. And when Lashley came in and threw in the champagne, made comments about the wall and stuff like that, I was laughing my ass off, and I found it good as a segment. But there is a reason why they did this whole thing, like in the main event, doing a rematch. I know they want to get viewers, right? But you cannot throw everybody who ordered the pay-per-view under the bus. That was something that WCW used to do, and TNA they used to do it, and even worse, because they used to do the title rematch on Impact and do the championship change on Impact. At least they didn't do that, but it is what it is. I think they would have saved that at least for the live edition of Impact that is coming soon in about 3 to 4 more weeks, something along those lines. But I'm not like a huge fan of doing a rematch on free TV, but they are trying to get eyes on the product. This is what they want to do at this moment in time.
So we saw that. We saw that skit with Jeremy Borash and Josh Matthews, where Bruce Pritchard was kind of nipping that in the bud, putting it in, squashing that out. Don't know why poor Pope got told off on it too. When he was like, "Hey, I'm just a guy in the middle." I don't know if that's leading to an angle or if it was just to be comedic, but you know, give Pope some love, man. That's all you got to say. But it seems like we're probably going to get the end of the Jeremy Borash and Josh Matthews, and maybe it'll focus a little bit more on the in-ring segment instead of those two bickering back and forth. Any thoughts or anything you want to chime in on this one, buddy?
Yeah, cool segment. By the way, let me put over the Pope a little bit. You remember the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about Elias Rosario, right? One of the few wrestlers who wrote to him asking about the whole cancer stuff was the Pope. So you know how genuine of a guy it is when he knows that a fan of him is having some trouble, and he reached out to Elias. So my props and full salute to the Pope.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember seeing that too, man. Like Pope is such a stand-up guy. And like, if anyone knows me and know the RAV, like I'm a mark for the Pope. I think that guy should have been like a household name in wrestling. I think he could have been possibly the biggest star in the Impact or in the history of TNA Impact Wrestling at one point. So man, like I always follow that guy, and like I'm in awe of how great the Pope is. And it was real cool to see that, man. He'll retweet me sometimes, interact, but nothing like that. And it's definitely awesome to see what a stand-up guy he is, and the way that he reached out for our boy Eli. So then we had a non-title match apparently. So the X Division champion Sanjay Dutt, Impact Zone, man, cheer for poor fucking Sanjay. That was sad to see him come out. There's like 3 people standing up, and he points to like his one fan that gave a shit. I feel like I'm the only person that's a Sanjay Dutt fan. But Sanjay defeated Caleb Conley in a non-title match. I thought it was a pretty solid match, entertaining. At the end, we see Trevor Lee attack Sanjay Dutt and steal the belt. I'll kind of give my thoughts on Trevor Lee, but Rob, I'll go ahead and let you do your thing on this one first, buddy.
Yeah, nothing outstanding out of it. Actually, it was a regular X Division match. You saw Caleb Conley do a lot of his typical offense, and later down in the match, Sanjay Dutt getting the pin. As for Trevor Lee in the whole stalling the bell thing, right? I hope that is my only complaint about all of this. I hope it is not that they want to turn the X Division in something like a 24/7 division, like the hardcore division. That would be it. The X Division doesn't need a facelift at all. It is good the way it is. I hope this lead to something like a cage match, something like that, I guess. But by the way, where's the other guy? Everett. He should be also in the title picture. But it is what it is. Things are still progressing, at least on that feud.
Yeah, I think Everett was always outshining Trevor Lee, and it's kind of disappointing to see him it seemed like he was going to get his moment, and then they went away from him. Obviously we know he's in the Super X Cup, but I would rather see Everett get a little pissed off that Sanjay kind of came in and stole his thunder. Him and Low-Key did when he was supposed to get that belt, and that would be a reason for a heel turn, and even possibly put him and Trevor Lee back together. Would be a credible tag team again, especially with having it done properly.
Yeah,
exactly. Man, I'm fucking burnt out on Trevor Lee in the X Division. I feel the guy, his 2 title reigns were very underachieving and underwhelming. I think he's a good wrestler, but the fact of the matter is we can blame the Hurricane Helms thing all we want about his style, trying to slow it down and be more WWE-ish. But the fact is, man, Trevor Lee goes out and there's no way in the world that Trevor Lee should go out for fucking a bunch of Dave Meltzer marks in front of a PWG audience and put on much better wrestling performances than what he actually does on Impact Wrestling, the company that puts him on TV and pays him better. And that's the stuff that really frustrates me with Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee's a great wrestler, but he doesn't show you the stuff that you see from him, like you see on the indies, or especially like the PWG shit. And that's stuff that really bothers me about Trevor Lee. And I'm done fucking seeing him in the X Division as a champ unless we start seeing him give his effort and do the shit that he does elsewhere. Dude, you're not worth it, man. Like you're shitting on the company that is fucking like paying you and putting you on TV and trying to put you into a star. And truthfully, I'd rather see anyone feud for the X Division title right now other than Trevor Lee. His reigns underwhelmed me, and like I appreciate the guy. I think he's a very talented kid, but dude, step up. Someone else should be in this spot.
Or move him towards like the mid card or something. He looked not that bad when he was wrestling with the heavyweights back in, I think, on November. He looked good. I think I don't know why he's kind of lazy with Impact. I'm not on his head. I don't know what is he thinking at the moment, but at least he have something to do. Let's see if he can prove once again that he should deserve that spot that he's getting, because there's a lot of people now in the X Division, and if he starts sleeping, somebody else is gonna take his spot and he's gonna be on TV every single week instead of Trevor Lee.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then we were getting we got the Super X Cup brought back, but we also had another X Division type of match for some reason, and I think we're supposed to believe it is with Braxton Sutter. I don't feel Braxton Sutter is an X Division wrestler, but we did see Matt Sydal against Braxton Sutter, face versus face. We saw Matt Sydal get the victory there. We saw Braxton kind of get a little frustrated after the match, kind of threw Ali's arms off of him. Normally in wrestling, if you've been watching wrestling for a long time, it's not hard to figure out where this is probably going to be leading to. So if they are going down the Braxton, it turns on Ali and goes heel route or whatever. I feel it's a little bit early, but maybe it's something different will happen. But right person won. I'm glad Matt Sydal beat boring brand Braxton Sutter. Your thoughts on this one?
I'm not a fan of Matt Sydal by any stretch of the imagination, but he looked good on the match. He looked great on Impact. As for Braxton Sutter, he right out of the back looked like a heel once he came in without the beanie and with that big beard. I knew that he was kind of turning heel. Hopefully they start to put a little bit of more gas, more pedal to the metal, because this whole Ali, KM, Sienna, Rosemary feud needs something to happen, because it have taken way too much time. I was thinking about this the other day. They survived like 3 different management during this feud, because this whole feud have been happening since I think November, something like that. They survived the last days of Dixie, then Billy Corgan, and now the new Owl, Dutch Mantel, and Jeff Jarrett era. It is time to at least put something. Something needs to happen with this whole feud, because if they keep dragging it down, people are just gonna just don't give a fuck about this whole thing, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't dispute it very much either. I think KM and they book Congo Kong as a monster, but I think KM should get a better booking than the way he's being booked as well. He kind of more like a joke comedy guy. I guess that's off track. The only thing I can think of, man, is wouldn't be a trip if what happens if they are going with the split Braxton and Ali thing up. What if Braxton actually goes back to LDN, and that's what changes her out of her wedding dress and having the Courtney Love Marilyn Manson fucking makeup going down in that white wedding dress. I mean, wouldn't it be kind of weird if Braxton ends back up with LVN at the end after this? That's something I think they might go with. But
yeah, and they pair Ali with Grado. Oh, Full Killer is gonna be so happy with that pairing.
Yeah, FK9 loses his fucking mind. He loses his mind on his show. Come on here and loses his mind on our show. It's our show, but it's his show too, But I mean, he would. I can only imagine that reaction. And speaking of Grado, so we had this 8-man tag. BQ on his show said it seems like Impact Wrestling went out of their way to put Grado on the show, and literally the thing that popped in my mind was, I wonder what FK9 would fucking react to that about Impact Wrestling kind of going out of their way to put Grado on the show. But Grado was back. Him, Eddie Edwards, and the VOW defeated. It was Eli Drake and Chris Adonis and
Falaba and Mario Bocara.
Yeah, fat chubby Heath Slater and Baby Yokozuna. Those guys defeated by at least Eddie Edwards got the pin. I don't have too much to say on it. I'm glad Eddie got the pin. He's been needing to pinfall very bad. Other than just finally getting that win over Davey. I like the VOW, man. I know a lot of people don't. I think they passed the eye test. Those dudes look fucking badass and legit. Sucks to see Grado back. I'm glad Eli Drake didn't get pinned. And yeah, man, up to you, my friend. Thoughts on this one?
Nothing bad at all. I know that they make all of this match just to feature Grado. I am a fan of the guy Mario Bocara. He speaks have a certain way of speak that comes across as a babyface. I was watching an interview he did about 2 to 3 days ago, and he have that kind of charisma. He remind me a lot like something like Owen Hart, babyface Owen Hart, but it is not his time right now. I think there still needs to put different people into better position than him. About Grado. What about Grado? Oh my God, they're gonna feature him for they pay all the money to him to bring him back here because he was having visa issues. So they're gonna do something with him because they wanted to feature him for a long ass time. For the way that it seems is that they had a spot for him for a long ass time, but he was not able to be on the show.
Yeah, it's weird because I've actually heard more than you sing the praise of Mario Baccara. You just wouldn't see it on Impact because he's really just been nothing but a jobber. He definitely doesn't have like a look that really stands out. I call him Chubby Heath Slater, but I have heard some actually really good things about the guy. So I'm actually not knocking the guy. It's just I'd like to maybe see some more out of him because Rob's not the only person that's actually sung his. I actually think Kyle is pretty high on the guy too. I could be wrong if I am, Kyle. My apologies. I'm not entirely too sure what they're doing with this Grado thing, but it definitely fucking. I know Josh had said that it may be the last time we see Grado again. My fingers are crossed. That's the truth, but. I mean, I'm not like Grado actually seems like a pretty nice guy, and there were times that I was kind of like, man, he kind of got a little bit of respect from me, but I'm just no, I just can't fucking take it. I do not bring this fucking guy back. If it is, and like whatever angle they're going with, if it's the end of it, we saw Joseph Park come out. I assume it's legal documents, lawyer stuff. Please tell me this is just writing Grado off of TV for good. At least he's not back with Shira, I guess, but. Going out of your way to put Grado on TV, it's just come the fuck on. What's next? Like, are we going to get a more extended midget fucking wrestling program? I hope to God that little thing I just said doesn't actually end up happening. No, please, no mini or midget thing, but just take Grado and Hornswoggle and ship them out. Please don't make him a tag team. But anything you want to add there, Rob, before we move on to something?
Yeah, that's good. Super X Cup.
Super X Cup, man. Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I loved this shit back in the days. If I remember right, though, it was on a tag team wrestling. We got singles matches set up for the Super X Cup. So I'm a little confused there, but we got the 8 participants. I do gotta ask, man, where's DJZ?
I think he haven't been cleared to wrestle, as far as I know. I miss him. I actually mix him. Yeah,
he's actually wrestled. He's wrestling at an indie show that BQ's at today, and he actually wrestled at an indie show prior. So he's cleared. Clearly, he would fit in this X Cup thing. I miss him too, man. I'm disappointed that DJZ's not back in, but hopefully we'll get DJZ or Zima Ion or whatever they're going to end up calling him under the new regime back. Maybe a gimmick change where he's not the DJ thing. But man, this dude was so improved, and I miss the guy a lot. He would add so much to it, but. So we got, the matches were announced. There's Sammy Guevara against Drago. Sammy Guevara, we've heard a lot of good stuff about. Drago, we saw make his debut last Sunday. We've got ACH taking on Andrew Everett. I'm huge on ACH. I love Andrew Everett. That match to me, it stands out so much. I think that's going to be fire. Taiji Ishimori against my man Davey Richards, who I think it'll be a slap in the face if he does not win this Super X Cup. And then the match that we saw, which was Desmond Xavier against Rafi from the league, a.k.a. Idris Abraham. I guess, what are your thoughts on the contestants, and who do you think should win this here, Robert?
I have my money on Desmond Xavier. That would be where my money is at. So, all of the participants are really good. And by the way, we kind of skipped talking about the whole Jesse Sorsen photo on the Impact Zone. Now that you remind me of DJC and that whole incident, half hell frozen over, holy cow. But I am happy that they bringing back the World X Cup. That kind of give more global flavor to Global Force Wrestling. And I am expecting to be entertained by this whole revival of the X Division, because that is something that have a lot of... It is popular with the base, with the people who love and support Impact Wrestling. If you have those people happy, those people are gonna call in the casual fans. But you have to at least throw something to them, a thanks for their support and putting up with some of the bad stuff Impact has done. So what better way to do that than to give us a Super X Cup right on free TV?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a big thing. Look, I feel I don't think Davey Richards necessarily represents the X Division the way that we look at the X Division. I think he's technically the best technical wrestler in the world today, and I've said that for years, and I'll say it 1,000 times over. I saw one match of Davey Richards in Ring of Honor, and I said Impact Wrestling, or TNA at the time, has to get that guy. He could change so much, and I still feel that way. I feel Davey Richards kind of fits it the way Douglas Williams was a champ. But look, man, if we're talking credibility and all that, we have the former Ring of Honor World Champion, dude's a legendary tag team wrestler in this company, and he's much better than he gets. I think he's literally possibly the best wrestler in the world, overall. And I'll take that shit to my grave. Go ahead, work rate marks, bring it on. But Davey, to me, I don't think anyone should even fuck with Davey in this. I think. But my thing is with this, man, like, put DJZ in Davey Richards' spot, and what we could have instead would be Davey Richards taking the spot that Trevor Lee's in, where Davey comes in and attacks Sanjay, give Davey that X Division championship, and then you bring in Seidel or Andrew Everett or ACH or one of these faces that can challenge Davey, and eventually let Davey put one of those guys over. That's what I think should be happening. But look, if we're not going with the guy other than Davey to win it, that fits more of the X Division, man, I got to go with either my boy ACH or Desmond Xavier. I think Desmond Xavier is a guy that's going to really showcase what he can do and just fucking tear this place apart. ACH had that really big shit-eating smile. I was kind of like, dude, how goofy do you need to be, ACH? But I'm a big ACH guy. I think the dude's pretty amazing in the ring, and that's the guy that I want to see really not only get signed by Impact, but really fucking get a push. So. Anything else there?
No, that's a good idea about changing DAC for David Richards, and David Richards being on the top of the X Division card for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we could have used Eddie Edwards in there too, but it is what it is. So then we just fucking go right to it. We have, or I don't know, did you want to talk the Sorensen thing anymore, Al? I kind of forgot about it or didn't think too much. I'm not too much of a Jesse Sorensen guy, so I'm not too big on it or care too much. But
yeah, I more than anything, I am happy that at least they are fixing what went wrong the last time around and probably making peace with the guys. That is what I more than anything care about, because he was promised things by the TNA office and he was kind of let down. But it is what it is. No, hopefully they are on good terms, and that is what matters to me the most. I'm not a fan of having all beef between companies and wrestlers. That is something that I have to put over Vince McMahon. That is something that he does, that it is good. He doesn't hold grudges big time with wrestlers unless your last name is Jeff Jarrett. But to everybody else, he's able to make some peace, and that is something that I appreciate as a person, right?
And I'm not going to get into it. There's literally, and I won't dispute what we're saying, but there's literally no respect or admiration I have for Vince McMahon. But it's not just pro wrestling related. But I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, I mean, he does make a good point. Look, this is a company trying to do a right thing for Jesse Sorensen. We all kind of know the backstory behind it. And, good old TNA Dixie kind of fucked the guy over a little bit, but she's not here anymore. Maybe we will get Jesse back. Maybe he's got a little bit more to give. I remember we did see the angle where he came back with Zema Ion back then, after that injury. I can't remember if we actually saw Jesse go over or whatnot. It was very forgettable for me, but, it'd be nice to get more just X Division blood, period, man. But then we got to the match itself, and I think this, Rafi from the league, who was also in the movie The House. I actually just watched this movie, I was a little bit late. The movie went longer than I thought, but So Idris Abraham, aka Rafi, getting defeated by Desmond Xavier. Idris Abraham, however you say it, man, this dude, he's a lot better than I thought. Very impressive match, man. I thought this match was awesome. Clearly, I feel the right person won. And the Super X Cup, man, don't got too much more to say than that. But look, both guys impressed the hell out of me. And I can't wait to see where this goes. Desmond Xavier hype train. We're starting it up now. Robert, your thoughts?
Yeah, the right guy won, especially with the new version of the spinal tab. I was marking out. I love that move when AJ was able to put it out.
It went back on mute in the middle of me talking, I think.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Shit. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm not entirely sure what was going through there or what got said, but, basically the Desmond Xavier hype train, we're going to start it now. Sienna, Rebel's back. Sienna in a non-title match, apparently. Sienna gets the submission win over Rebel. Almost said Rosemary there. Using that choke out again. Man, Rebel looks better. She does. Her, fucking diving through the ropes to go at KM. I mean, man, I'm a Rebel fan. I think the girl's drop dead gorgeous. But she's improving in the ring. She's had that desire the whole time. That's something I really like about Rebel. So I hope she's back on the roster full time. I did hear a rumor today that CVE is gone, and shit, I forgot to bring up that Madison Rayne is apparently gone too. So look, the knockouts are thinning out, man. So look, for one, I hope Rebel's back full time. But your thoughts on this one, Robin? If you want to talk about CVE possibly being gone and Madison gone, go for it too, my friend.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of squash matches, especially after title defenses, but it is what it is. Rebel have improved a lot. I was impressed and amazed at the stuff she was doing in the ring. She have that spark. She wants to be there. That is the type of people that you need on your roster. People like her who are willing to improve and want to be on Impact Wrestling. As for Madison Rayne, it is kind of sad to see her go because she was helping backstage with the knockouts. But even her last match, I was praising her last match back in one night only. She actually have a quite decent match with Angelina Love, very chain wrestling oriented, something that I enjoy, especially seeing that out of a female wrestler. That is kind of a rarity because the type of stuff that you see with female wrestling is a lot more flashy, right? As for Gail Kim, let's talk about a little bit Gail Kim because she had like the big announcement for next week. Hopefully, it is what everybody is thinking that it is. Hopefully, she puts over Rosemary and Ali on her way out. Go ahead, Raven.
Yeah, I mean, Christina Von Eerie, I mean, if it was just to bring her in to have her drop that GFW belt, it's kind of stupid, especially with Reno Scum there. There were photos of Inc. around. I mean, the Knockouts talent roster, it's very thin. I mean, we haven't seen that MJ Jenkins grow yet. Ava Story, my creepy crush affair girl. I mean, they need to do something with her. But, the Knockouts are thinning out like the tag teams are, and it's definitely something that needs to come back. And losing talent like her, it's not the best. I mean, Madison, as far as we know, she's just been basically kind of creative or booking for the Knockouts, which is rare because most times that happens. The wrestler that's the booker really is favoring themselves and trying to get themselves over a lot. AKA, I mean, look at Kevin Nash with Goldberg, kind of a thing. Even though I marked out for Kevin Nash defeating him, that's a different story. But I mean, man, props to Madison for that. I think she improved so much from the start of her career. I've really always been a big Madison fan until she started fucking Josh Matthews, and then I just hated my life and my penis. But it's sad if she's gone. Maybe she'll keep her job, creative booking, whatever you want to call that, or whatever she actually is doing. If the dude's wife is gone with the company, who knows if Josh may follow soon at some point. Dude, Josh could be an awesome heel manager, to be honest. I'd like to see him leave there, become a heel manager, and then put Don West and Pope and JB in there, or Don West and Ro Flo in there with Pope, something along those lines. But very strange there. Gail Kim, man. Look, I'll save that discussion for another time because I'm a big Gail fan, and I don't think Gail has lost a step. I feel Gail made women's wrestling respectable in the company that made women's wrestling respectable, and I have no problem with Gail being on top, getting another title reign, whatever on earth this actually is. Maybe she's retiring, who knows? But I do think Gail is going to be the one that really puts Rosemary and Allie over big on her way out. One of the two, if not both. But those are my thoughts there. Anything you wanted to add there, Robert, before we move on?
I think we're missing something. Give me a second. EC3 and Moose. We haven't talked about that.
I must have missed that one too. I think I actually missed the entire thing.
Yeah, they did like a promo backstage. So basically, EC3 is the one who's gonna go after Moose for the grand title in the... I don't know if it is gonna be the next episode, but it's gonna be in that taping session. EC3 is challenging Moose. Everybody knows that I am a huge Moose fan, and I also like EC3, so I am very pleased to see them feud with each other. Right now that they came out of two different feuds, and they were the winners of both feuds, so they are going in with a little bit of more momentum behind them. I am a fan of that feud and that pairing. Go ahead, Raven.
No doubt, man. I mean, dude, I'm a big fan of Moose, but anyone knows, like, I'm a fucking EC3 guy through and through. I would rather see EC3 be getting that world heavyweight title shot. I feel he's above the grand championship, but I think it's maybe time for Moose to drop that belt too, because I think Moose is on his way to really come up and make that step, that leap up to the main event, because I think Moose is a star. The dude's an incredible wrestler. If anyone listened to our awards show for the half year, I mean, Moose is my wrestler of the year so far. And I feel that because he's put on the best matches out of anyone in the company consistently all year with multiple people. Cannot say enough about Moose. Can never say enough about my boy EC3. Should be good. I hate the grand championship. I hate the rules to it. I think EC3 should not go back and take a secondary title at this stage. And I think maybe it's time to get Moose off of the belt. Like I said, man, I'd rather see like a Davey Richards or someone like that, or low-key, something along those lines, come in and get it. Or, if we're doing the MMA kind of format, I mean, this should have been what Alberto was winning, beating Moose and making it more of an MMA feel, and then him and Lashley, Davey Richards kind of stuff. Low-key, Trevor Lee, kind of guys who have that technical style with it. Would have fit the division a little bit better, but, the other thing, I guess, that we didn't mention, dude, Robert, have you ever seen the movie Beetlejuice?
Yes.
Okay, so when like Beetlejuice goes to the doctor's office or whatever, and there's this fucking guy who has like the shrunken head from like a voodoo doctor. Tell me that one of those Swole Brother guys that got into it with Eli Drake and Chris Adonis didn't have the littlest head with the biggest fucking body you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I hope to God, because you remember like Destination America, they made them do that stupid shit with Bigfoot and those hillbillies in there looking for Bigfoot, and the fucking Live Exorcism, which was the biggest flop I've ever seen in my life. I just hope that Impact or GFW doesn't have to put these guys over, especially at Eli Drake's expense, for God's sake. Do you think something's going with this or what?
I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully that they don't. The ones taking the pin is Adonis, obviously. But what I'm noticing is that every time they had a celebrity have something to do with either Moose or Eli Drake. So I guess they are trying to make those two faces more familiar with the mainstream audience. That's something that I noticed.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I haven't really thought about that. Especially Eli Drake, man. He just seems to be the blunt of everything. He's kind of that dude that is bulletproof. Like, let's just shit on Eli and make fun of him. But Eli's bulletproof, and he'll just fucking own it, take it. like a goddamn boss, come back the next week, be funny as hell, make everyone forget about the fact that he's jobbed at Grado, been embarrassed on his Facts of Life show, got kind of punked out by Tyrus, and hopefully we're not going to see him punked out by the Swole brother. Was it the Swell brothers or Swole mates?
Swole mates.
God.
By the way,
Fucking-
we're missing Fat of Life segment. We are due to get one of those, man.
We are, man, aren't we? Like, I miss that show. I wish they would bring it back. It's definitely, I mean, you talk about talk shows, just it is so much better than anything on fucking daytime. No offense, Jesse Carter. It's so much better than anything daytime television related wise. I mean, man, talk show, anything. Just bring me back my Facts of Life. So, Dirty Dutch, Ed Nordholm, Jeff Jarrett, you're all being a bunch of dummies. Yeah. So, Robert, we move on to the main event, man, and we had Lashley and Alberto already going at it. I'm going to be honest, dude. I thought this match that they did was probably better for when it was going than it was at the pay-per-view. Clearly, there was the strange finish where LAX came out and they actually opened the show saying they were going to have the new member. And it looks like they chose Alberto. So they came in and kind of beat down on Lashley. And then Alberto was kind of got it the hell out of there with LAX behind him. So, man, Alberto, LAX, this match, Rob, it's all on you, my friend.
Yeah, the match was actually quite good. They clicked better on Impact that they click on the pay-per-view, to be honest. Even though the style of the matches were different, the pay-per-view match was more of a Broadway style of match. That means that it is a slow starting type of match and it builds up from there. By the way, I was kind of scared about the Lashley when he went towards the ropes to do the double foot stomp. I thought he was gonna do it. I was like, man, is he gonna do it or what? And by the way, I am obviously a fan of LAX, but I would love to see, instead of Alberto turning into the dark side, right? See his brother, El Hijo de Dos Caras, see his brother turn on Alberto and turn on his father. I think that would be something more of a compelling feud. However, Alberto have the belt, and you cannot chew in someone like Hijo de Dos Caras all the way from Mexico to the title scene in Impact. That is just not going to happen. But I think that would be more of an interesting feud, and I like that Impact ended up on a cliffhanger. Impact never ends with that type of storyline, so I enjoy that, especially seeing a cliffhanger at the end of the show. Go ahead, Raven.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I guess we never got full confirmation. I mean, we didn't see Alberto fully embrace LAX there. But yeah, it sucked to see. I think that match, literally, they had better chemistry than they did at Slammiversary, like you said, which Alberto claimed was going to be so great. It seems like they took the pressure off him and just went out and had a match, and it was a lot better that way. But man, I'm a big LAX fan myself. I actually said it on the show. I don't know. I can't remember which show I think it may have been the Slammiversary recap. But I did mention Alberto's brother actually is a possibility that I went through my head that could have been that new LAX member. And I kind of feel you there, like maybe he will be, or it could be a really good storyline there. You definitely can't put him up to the top. I mean, you could use him in a little brief thing where with Alberto beating him to kind of get him over a little bit, but it's. Excuse me for yawning. I apologize. It's got its intrigue. I mean, Alberto's really won me over. LAX coming out with Conan, keeping the name LAX won me over to start. But I mean, watching these dudes in the ring are so much better. And Diamante is amazing. I'm desperate for that Homicide return. It's definitely. Man, it's good stuff. It really was. I thought this was a much better episode than people are giving it credit for, which is some bullshit to me that people are shitting on it the way that they are. But man, it's interesting to see where it goes.
By the way, I will love. I want to pick your brain on this one, right? LAX versus the all LAX. Are you interested in seeing that?
I would be. I'd also be interested in seeing Outlaw Inc. to see Kingston and Homicide take on the guys formerly known as EYFBO. Dude, like I think I'm the only person alive that is actually a fan of Hernandez. I feel like Hernandez was for someone who's a little sloppy and botchy in the ring. A guy his size with that much build and mass, some of the shit that I would see Hernandez do would just blow my fucking mind, like his move set. And I'm a big fan of Hernandez, to be honest with you, and bring all the hate you want on people. But and the dude has a look, man. Like Hernandez has this fucking look to him that's like a 10 out of 10 too, man. The dude's jacked. I'd love to see Homicide and Hernandez take on the new guys. I never thought about it that way. But man, that'd be awesome. You got what's your thoughts on it, dude?
Yeah, I would love to see that later down the line. But as for the whole heel thing, the Alberto's brother, right? I'm kind of cheating, obviously, because he wrestled here with Alberto, and they were doing like heel fashion here in the local wrestling, and he is really good, and he comes across as a total douchebag. I don't know if that would translate into a global audience or an American mainstream audience, but that would be what I would do. I would turn in the brother of Alberto, hijo de dos caras. But the problem is that Alberto have the belt. So, and you don't want to have a short title run with him. And also you have Destination X coming down in about 5 to 6 weeks, which they are gonna present, from what I heard, the new belts. So I don't know, but I don't think they can take the belt away from Alberto. They're in a, how can I put it? They are in a spot that they can go into many different directions, and it would make sense. I like the transition that they did with Alberto and Lashley at the end of the match. Lashley looked strong on the match, and Alberto didn't look like a chump. But you also have LAX coming in and kind of taking the spot and all of the heat of the match. So they are in a pretty good spot with Del Rio, El Patron, and Lashley. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem, man. I actually had a couple questions for you here from what you said, but the other thing you just reminded me of the other thing, which will be our discussion to close out the show, I guess. You've seen his brother perform, and you said he's pretty good, which was one question I was going to ask. So I'm happy to see about that. Does he wear the mask? From what you saw, or is it just an Impact thing? Okay. Has he ever wrestled without it that you've seen?
No, as far as I have only seen him in the local Puerto Rico wrestling. I haven't seen him on AAA or CMLL or anything outside of my country.
Gotcha. And do you know, is this the brother that Alberto got in like the fucking fist fight with and got arrested for?
I think so.
That's a good God, man. We don't need that exploding in the Impact locker room. What's your thoughts, dude? Because man, like, I'm kind of pissed off at the people I'm pissed off at GFW for one, for turning the music, cranking that shit up loud. And I understand the mayor was in town, and maybe like the last day of tapings or two, that's why they did it. But, so for those of you that missed what Alberto did after Slammiversary, that started the Fuck the E chants and kind of bashed WWE. Monday's tapings, Monday and Tuesday, Alberto, after the shows were done, got on the mic and talked some shit on the WWE as well, and did it just kind of shoots and the rants. But the last day or the day prior to it, he picked up the mic to go, and apparently they cranked the music so loud in the arena that you couldn't hear what Alberto was saying. So they literally drowned the guy out just so he wouldn't bash WWE. And this is stuff that doesn't go on TV at all. and apparently WWE came out and took a shot at his woman, getting the train ran on her by Consequences Creed and whoever that other douchebag was. And they didn't let Alberto come out and say some shit then. Rob, what's your thoughts not only on these promos that he's doing afterwards and like with GFW kind of trying to censor it out?
Yeah, let me give my full thoughts, right? I think Alberto is actually going quite soft with them, because if you go back into the way back machine, Alberto was first kicked out of WWE because someone from the WWE office make a racist remark towards Alberto, and Alberto got hot and he ended up punching the guy, and instead of firing the official who said the racist remark, they fire Alberto. So obviously there is always gonna be that beef between Alberto and WWE. What WWE did was they offered him a good contract, a lot of money, a good spot, basically to silence him, because he was going to go basically to Mexico and start to undercut the market in Mexico, which AAA have been doing these last few years, ever since Hugo Sabinovich, who was the color commentator on the Spanish announce thing, was kicked out by Triple H over some other racist bullshit, and he kind of went in and started to spread like how can I put it, more not necessarily as a business attack on WWE, more of a pride attack against WWE. So they offer him a big spot, blah blah blah. At the end of the day, they decided not to go all the way with him, and they let him go. Now they are messing with his new family, which is him, Alberto, and Paige. He just got divorced and he is gonna marry Paige, and they are messing, getting in between that relationship. If I was Alberto, I would be more than hot. I would be even worse. I would be calling everybody who support that company even worse names. He have been a soft guy in my eyes. I would be 10 times worse. I understand this whole thing because the whole GFW thing is they don't want to stir the pot, because they have now the Hardys making all sorts of claims which they are not true, which have been proved if you have open eyes. They took everything between that anime, Death Note, and all of the other stuff was originally from JB, and they even did it, the whole final deletion. Those type of segments were also done long before Matt Hardy was in the company. Go ahead and look out for The Hunt for Willow, just an example, right? So let's get back into the Rio. I think the Rio have been soft towards them. I hope GFW kind of gets some sort of agreement, saying, hey, you can say that on social media, but you cannot say that with our mic under our umbrella. That is probably why GFW is trying to soft censor him, because they don't want to stare all that shit that is the Hardy and the toxic Reby Hardy stuff, and that more fit into the whole Alberto Del Rio stuff. Go ahead, Raven.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I appreciate your take there. The main thing that really pissed me off about Alberto at the start was, the whole racist stuff, and the reason that he was actually fired over that the first time. The fact that he went back to them, it rubbed me wrong. more than anything. I mean, I'm pro Team Alberto again now for sure. And I also think what he's been saying after the mic is cut off, man, it hasn't been that extreme and it hasn't been that big of a deal. I mean, it's not hitting TV. I wish it fucking would, because I miss when this company used to have balls and take shots at WWE, because fuck them, they need it. And I feel like if you're going to go out there and take shots at them, man, it's going to have, like ECW used to have Joey Styles come out there and talk shit about WWF and WCW and say why ECW was a superior show. I mean, do that from time to time on Impact. So, I mean, I love Del Rio going out and doing it. And I hear a lot of people being like, oh, he needs to get over it, or it makes you sound obsessed with WWE. No, it fucking doesn't. No, it does not at all.
Yeah, but when Reby does it, no. She's fighting against the machine. Oh, there are two set standards in the wrestling business. One for everybody else and one from Impact. If Impact does it, it is automatically wrong. And that is some major time bullshit. That total hypocrisy by everybody, because it is everybody within the wrestling media. They are extremely biased against Impact. And that is something that I have noticed for years. When Reby does it, everybody, let's applaud this brave and a brave woman fighting the good fight. But if Alberto said that WWE wrestlers are pussies, oh my God, this Alberto Del Rio is the worst person on the planet. I mean, totally terrible stuff like that, which is 110% bullshit. Go ahead, Raven.
Yeah, no problem. I agree with you there. My only thing is I've seen some of our own fans doing it, and I know some of them are closet WWE fans. Some of them actually like WWE and admit that. But when I see our own guys coming out there, our own Impact fans, like the big supporters of Impact, we're kind of a tight community. But there's some that I see out there saying, he needs to drop it. It just makes him seem smaller, pettier, like he's obsessed with WWE. Like, man, I don't think any of those people were really around or too much into watching ECW or the early days of TNA and what they went and did out. But, man, just stop censoring this guy. If someone's going to talk shit about me and my woman, and clearly they got enough issues in their relationship as it is for WWE to kind of take a shot and throw that in and rub Tabasco in his eyes. I mean, man, let the dude come out and say some shit that's not going to be on TV. Don't back down. Put your great balls of fire out and fight those fucking pussies at WWE. The last thing, man, is the rumor came out. So American Top Team apparently, and that's how we're going to close out the show. American Top Team has came out and said that, or this is rumor allegedly, that they want Bobby Lashley to stop his wrestling career to focus on MMA. I don't know the truth to this, what Lashley's intentions are. He did at least address it, but BQ had brought it up, and I had never heard it, but it has spread now. PWI Insider, or Pro Wrestling Insider, my bad, is even reporting it. Your thoughts on this one, Rob?
Yeah, it would be sad to see Lashley go. I don't think it is gonna be something permanently. So if Lashley leave is about 6 months, probably a year, that would be it. It would be sad to see him go, because that man carry TNA and the TNA brand proudly for the last 2 years, almost 2 years. And with all the stuff that happened, all the things that went wrong under Dixie, John Gaburick, and everybody else who was doing stuff backstage on Impact, right? He was always consistently the guy who was the face, who was always in the mix, always putting 110%. So it would be sad to see him go. I hope it is not true, because it is someone that it is gonna be pretty hard to replace him, especially on the main event level.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an MMA guy before I'm a wrestling guy these days anymore, to be honest with you. I don't really hide that too much. Man, Lashley, he's 40, 41 or something. I mean, look, to be fighting at a good rate at that age in mixed martial arts, it's not something that's common. I mean, Lashley's improved leaps and bounds not only in the ring, but also MMA from when he started. I mean, look at Bellator, their heavyweight title. Clearly, we're going to get Matt Mitrione fighting someone. There's Roy Nelson, there's Chet Congo, there's Bobby Lashley are the three guys. The two out of those three are going to get a fight, and then the winner of that's probably going to go fight Mitrione. I feel Lashley, man, he's dominating through everyone. Let's give him a real competition, a real challenger, and let's see how that goes. Personally, if I want to see Lashley, I want to see how good the guy actually really is. I do want to see Lashley go out there. I do want to see him fight Chet Congo. I want to see him get that title shot, and I want to see where he goes from there. So the part of me, I want to see how legit that the Impact Wrestling guy can go out and do an MMA. And as an MMA fan and as a Bobby Lashley fan, a guy who, like, literally the first fucking time I put eyes on Bobby Lashley in WWE, I thought, man, this dude is a star. And I remember him walking around with Big Show to do a power slam, and he walks around all four corners. My mind was blown. I mean, I've always been behind Lashley. This dude, walking Armageddon for real. He's so improved as a pro wrestler. It would suck to see him go away for a while. And he's a hard one to replace. You're right, especially the push they've given the guy, and the quality of matches he puts on with damn near everyone he goes in the ring with. The only thing that would concern me the most, if Bobby did step back in, that Impact GFW contract being void, clearly there's going to be another competitor that would like to swoop him up. They used him at WrestleMania 23. He made headlines with that Donald Trump tweet. I'd be worried about him going back to the WWE after his Bellator stint or whatever ends. Probably say you go feed him to Brock Lesnar, who would beat the shit out of in a real fight. But those are my thoughts, and I hope we don't lose Lashley long term. Those are my thoughts on there. Rob, anything else you want to chime in before we head out?
No, that would be. Thank you to everybody that is listening all the way through, because that is the most important thing. The people who listen all the way through the podcast. Thank you, Raven Effect, for having me and giving me the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. It's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate it. You really, and look, our listeners, man, we wouldn't have had a show this week if it weren't for Rob stepping in with me, doing the recording, because my stupid ass wouldn't know how to do this for the life of me. And you know what? We're probably going to have Rob back on definitely in the future. We'd like to have him back on more often. Check out Rob's show at Robert.wrestling, or Robert Does Wrestling. I apologize. Look, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Check out Impact Wrestling this week. Check out all the other podcasts. Support it. Tweet it. Get Austin Aries back. HeelCast Nation. One love. Have a great evening. Have a